Today on the podcast, I want to talk about a really interesting new company, which is specifically trying to help defend you against deepfakes and, detect fake AI-generated images, videos, all that kind of stuff. This is Reality Defender. They actually just raised $15 million with the sole purpose of detecting text, video, and image deepfakes. I think this is a really interesting space. And I believe that OpenAI is actually currently working on, dropping a new AI image, essentially AI image detector. Now, it's going to be interesting because, of course, OpenAI is the same company that earlier this year dropped an AI text detector and discontinued the service after a handful of months because, I don't know, it was too hard, or maybe they're revamping it or something. It was pretty much just giving a bunch of false positives. And, if they had teachers that are banning the use of AI and then they use, OpenAI, which sounds like the most official tool, and it gives false positives or false negatives, it's, not a very good look. And, you'd feel bad for students that wrote their essay and got called out as AI when it wasn't actually. So because of that, I believe OpenAI canceled it, but it left a lot of people asking, is this even possible? Can we even do this? And so, there's been a bunch of other companies that have come into the space, and I've actually seen a handful that are fairly good at the text side of things. It's always a cat and mouse game, though, because there's always techniques you can use to get around that. So in any case, today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about Reality Defender, what they're doing, how they're different, what they're going to be spending this $15 million on, and the implications for the industry. So let's dive into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Make sure that you go to aibox.ai, link in the show notes, to join the waitlist for our new AI platform. We're going to be launching an incredible platform that allows you to build anything you want with workflows in AI. So you're able to chain together ChatGPT and image generators and audio generators to make really powerful apps for your organization, or you can host them on our marketplace and actually generate royalties from them. So make sure to go to aibox.ai and join the waitlist. In addition, if you like the podcast, if you could do me a massive favor and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. This helps me be able to get better guests on here as they check the reviews to see how you guys are liking it. So if you could please do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Like I mentioned, Reality Defender has just raised a successful Series A funding round with $15 million. And I think this was spearheaded by DCVC. They had a bunch of notable contributions from, Comcast, EXANTE, Parameter Ventures, Nat Friedman's AI grant. And I think with this whole infusion of capital that they have, Reality Defender is set to double its team of 23 dedicated experts. So, just doubling their workforce pretty much is their main investment. And their primary objective is to enhance their AI-based content direction models. So according to Ben Coleman, the company's co-founder and CEO, the new method, he says, quote, "New methods of deep faking and content generation will consistently appear, taking the world by surprise, both through spectacles and the amount of damage they can cause." So in the context of this kind of financial backing, Coleman expressed a forward-looking vision for Defender Reality, and he said, quote, "By adopting a research-forward mindset, Reality Defender can stay several steps ahead of these new generation methods and models before they appear publicly, being proactive about detection instead of reacting to what just happened or just what just appeared today." So I think this is interesting because, of course, like I mentioned, there's a cat and mouse game going on even for the tech stuff. So I'm sure the video and image and everything else is even more intense. But that being said, their claim here is that they're anticipating where the tech is going. They're anticipating what's coming next, and they're building tools that can detect and stop it before it launches. That's a really bold claim. That is a freaking bold claim. OpenAI struggled detecting AI-generated content from their own tool a year after this came out or more, right? You had You had Da Vinci, which was a precursor to GPT-3, and then of course we have GPT-4, and like OpenAI couldn't detect any of it. So, and it was over a handful of years that this stuff rolled out, or a year or two. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a really bold claim, especially when it's like they're like, we're going to detect video stuff coming out. And I've talked about this on a couple podcast episodes and interviews before, but essentially I saw a really interesting clip, or I was listening to an interesting podcast, and they were talking about the fact, I'll give credit, it was the Iced Coffee Hour, Graham Stephan and Jack Shelby were interviewing Ty Lopez, and Ty was talking about the fact that it's one thing to use a deepfake of a person, you know, saying like, there's a bunch of famous, just recently, Mr. Beast got deepfaked, and he was like saying, hey, you need to go buy this product, it's awesome or whatever, but it's a deepfake. And when I watched the video, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I would like see that video and be like, oh, Mr. Beast is legitimately endorsing whatever. Like, you could just tell it's a deepfake. But what Ty was saying was extra tricky, and I tend to agree with after watching like the videos, is there's been a number of videos where essentially they will use a real clip of a real celebrity like Joe Rogan talking about a sports supplement or something, and right before he mentions the name of the supplement, they swap it for their own product. And they just, all they have to do is deepfake the word of their own product, and otherwise, it's really, really hard to detect. Like watching it, it was like, no, he just literally endorsed this product. And so people use that and run it as an ad, and I think that's kind of the next level of deepfaking, is it's like a literal, real video that maybe you even watched that podcast episode and you're like, ah, shoot, what was the, you know, the workout, the pre-workout that Joe Rogan recommended, and you like search it on YouTube, and someone like SEO'd their clip to the top, and it's like Joe Rogan thing, and you like watch it, and it's literally the clip you remember, except the name is different, but you probably don't remember because it was a couple weeks ago, so you're like, okay, cool, and you go buy that one. Like, it's really, really interesting. So in any case, they're claiming that the reality defender is claiming they're going to catch this stuff ahead of time. I'm very skeptical, very, very skeptical, but I would love to be proven wrong. It's a cool company, cool tech. So, I mean, I'm all for it. In any case, in the context of all of this, I think Reality Defender originated as a nonprofit initiative when they first started out, but they really quickly, I think they pivoted towards external financing, as, you know, they essentially recognized the growing scale of the deepfake problem, kind of like OpenAI, right? They were a nonprofit, open source kind of thing, and then they went for profit. Now, I don't know. This one I definitely see as like, yeah, you definitely kind of need money to do this deepfake detection. It's expensive. If OpenAI is struggling to do it, like, you need a lot of money. Deep Media, which is a competitor in the synthetic media detection space, estimates that the number of video deepfakes has tripled, and voice deepfakes have increased 8-fold just over the last year. Honestly, I don't know if that's true or not. I really don't care. With something like 11 Labs launching, where essentially with a couple minutes of audio of any person, you can deepfake their voice, like in 1 year or more, it's going to be like 1,000x spammers, scammers, all this kind of stuff. So like, I don't really care when they're like, it's up 8x. I'm like, yeah, big deal, whatever. Like 2 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever, massive tools that anyone can use are coming out that is just going to like put that on steroids. So, I mean, yeah, cool at 8x, but I think we're going to see like 1,000x over the next year. So the surge, I think, in kind of deepfake production can be attributed to the growing accessibility of a lot of these generative AI tools. Like I mentioned, in the past, cloning voices or like creating deepfake images or videos was really like, here's the thing, it was just really expensive. It wasn't that you couldn't do it, it was just very expensive. It had, you know, you needed a considerable kind of data science expertise. And so now, in recent years, of course, all this new technology, Stable Diffusion, 11 Labs, all the rest of it, have made this like, there's no barrier to entry. Anyone could do it. It's super easy. So to illustrate this, I think there have been some instances where platforms like 11 Labs were used to replicate celebrities' voices, and then they were generating audio content ranging from memes to, you know, some people saying stuff that aligned with the Chinese Communist Party, and I don't know, whatever, a bunch of stuff that it's gonna happen. Because here's the thing, like, they can say, okay, you can't use a celebrity's voice, and on 11 Labs, when you upload a clip, it's like, say I have copyright for this, but like, you could just grab a clip of anyone talking, and anyone can do it, and it's gonna be really hard. And if 11 Labs doesn't do it, there's gonna be 100 open source models that do the same thing. So I don't think there's a way to really stop this, to be honest. And maybe detection's our best bet. I don't know. But although some generative AI platforms have implemented filters and restrictions to combat misuse, I think it remains definitely a constant challenge. Coleman here, their CEO, said, quote, some of the greatest risks from AI-generated media stems from use and abuse of deepfakes material on social media. I think in this context, Reality Defender this is kind of where they're coming in, and they're claiming the ability to detect various deepfakes and AI-generated media. They offer an API and web application capable of analyzing video, audio, text, and images for signs of AI-driven alterations, which I think is very interesting. And it, technically something like that might be able to catch a Joe Rogan deepfake, or most of it's right, but there's some altercation that comes in and kind of changes it a little bit. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. The question I think still remains, can any tool really reliably detect deepfakes? OpenAI, of course, has struggled with this. So I think there's a concern that deepfake detection models may inadvertently perpetuate a bunch of issues. So some research from the University of Southern California highlighted, this is what they said. They said that there's some biases within some training data sets which can be amplified in detection systems, leading to disparities in error rates based on racial or gender attributes. This is a really interesting concept or study, but essentially University of Southern California is saying that that deepfake detection models have biases, and that those will cause us harm, which is just a very interesting. I would love to see what they expressly say about that. I understand you put some bad data into an AI model, it spits out something racist. Yeah, that's bad, right? So obviously OpenAI works pretty heavily to avoid that from happening. Now we're saying that deepfake detection models could inadvertently have biases for race or gender or other things. And I think they're biases. They're saying probably it's going to have more false positives or false negatives if you're a woman or black or other things, or maybe white, or I don't know. So it's just I don't know. I don't feel like this is a big problem we have right now. There's not a lot of really good deepfake detection software out there. This isn't a very mainstream topic. There's a bunch of people that are coming up with this. So I personally tend to, and also if the University of Southern California is doing this research, they're it's what tool are you using? OpenAI isn't being successful, so you're not using them. Of course, we got Reality Defender here, just raised $15 million, but this is very early age stuff, or early stage stuff. Anyways, it's just funny. If you go online and you look at people talking about pros and cons of this stuff, I think it's got a lot of pros. When I see cons like this, it's deepfake detection software could be racist, I'm I don't know. I don't buy it quite yet. I mean, if this thing's mainstream and a lot of millions of people are using it and it has some sort of major error, I think we'll all know and everyone's going to talk about it. But when you start talking about problems in software that doesn't even work, in my opinion, most of this stuff doesn't work very well. I don't know. I just think it's a little far-fetched. In any case, regardless of all the skepticism that some people throw their way, Reality Defender has established a really strong foothold in the market. They serve a big clientele, including governments spanning multiple continents, top-tier financial institutions, media corporations, multinational corporations. I think they got a lot of impressive clients. I would be curious to see what their accuracy rate is on deepfakes and what the cat and mouse game of people doctoring stuff and them actually being able to detect it. I'll put this out here, okay? And I can be skeptical of all sides of the argument on this. You'll see me give my hot takes or whatever. But I really, really do think this is an incredibly important arena because there's a couple issues. The number one concern I have with AI-generated content is going to be faked evidence in trials, legal trials. So you're going to get accused of something, and someone's going to get accused of something. Then they're going to say, here's a video of you literally doing the thing. And so I think it's important that we have really robust, I think we need to put a lot of money into this whole space of AI detection, because how horrible would that be to submit some evidence to a jury, the jury watches it, and they just pretty much are yeah, you're guilty, boom. So if the AI detector cannot detect, if we don't have good enough AI detection, people are 100% going to get accused of stuff and go to jail. And I don't know. A lot of people complain from all sides of the aisle in America about the weaponization of the legal system in the U.S. I think that's probably an issue a lot of people complain about and don't want to see. Whether you believe it's happening or not too is irrelevant to the fact that you don't want it to happen. I think we can all agree we don't want the justice system to be weaponized. And I think AI is going to just cause havoc in this area. So we definitely want really robust tools that can detect this so we do not end up in this situation. And it's not even just like weaponization politically, like someone, has a grudge against their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend for doing X, Y, and Z things. So now they're going to set them up and make them pay, and they're going to show this video of them being abused and send them to jail for a year. Like there's just it could get messy. So I think this is important. As Coleman said recently, he said, Reality Defender uses AI to fight AI, helping the largest entities, platforms, and governments determine whether a piece of media is likely real or likely manipulated. In doing so, they are making significant strides in combating fraud, disinformation, and the spread of harmful materials across various sectors. So yeah, very interesting. I think this is an important topic and definitely one that I'll continue to follow into the future. Thanks for joining me for my hot takes on AI detection today. I'll keep you updated on the story.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.